Hello, my name is Karla Ulloa, and I am doing the first goal in the United Nations Development Program, which is ending world poverty. And looking at the numbers in the United Nations statistics, in the analysis, according to the United Nations, their goals are to eliminate world poverty by the year 2030. And right now, there are over 700 million people, which is 10% of the world population, currently still living in extreme poverty. And for every 100 men, there are 122 women living in extreme poverty, which in total, when it comes out, the women are the ones that are in most danger for poverty. Right now, statistics show that in 2015, 55% of the world's population have no access to social protection, and only 41% of women giving birth receive maternity cash benefits. Looking at it worldwide, right here, I have the areas in the world affected the most by extreme poverty, which are shown right here. It's mostly Africa, Asia, Eastern Europe, South America, and a little bit of North America, which is Mexico. And the United Nations have agreed for sustainable development, and the number one goal is to end extreme poverty by 2030. So 193 leaders have set out to achieve and to eradicate extreme poverty. Providing the resources to understand that everyone deserves the right to human rights is the main goal in order to create a pathway for betterment in the lives of the 700 million people currently struggling to meet basic needs like health, education, vulnerability to natural disasters, and social inclusion in politics. So right now, the goals that are being worked on right now, it's overall the 36% of the population that was in extreme poverty in 1990. It has been reduced to 10% since 2018, bringing resources and education in the most rural parts of the world, and they have helped reduce the numbers just in 30 years' time. One way in order the United Nations is working to end poverty is for equal rights to happen. So, in order to fight the poverty, every person should be given basic rights with basic needs met. In order to help someone that has been dehumanized due to their status of wealth or education, it can be prevented in order to have a better understanding what their rights constitute and what they can get help on. So, meaning having access to healthcare, having access to better education, involvement in politics, having their voice heard, and having policies involved in their governments in order to get help whenever they need it. Also, including there are women's rights. Women's rights are an important aspect because extreme poverty affects women the most. Bringing in ways to educate women and give them tools to have better healthcare, contraceptives, and access to abortions can reduce poverty levels. So right now, over 214 million women lack proper contraceptive care in the world in just the poverty line. In order to have women lead in poverty eradication, there needs to be human rights for women and have control over their life and body. Having knowledge will help them empower women and have the choice of pregnancy with betterment and able to pass down knowledge to any children they choose to have. Right now, there are many states creating resources. So politicians are trying to create new policies around the world in order to bring in better resources, including development on pro-poor and gender-sensitive strategies. The implementation of social protection systems, new technology, financial services, and reducing the exposure of these people to natural disasters will help them with any aid relief. Right now, there are a couple of international organizations in over 193 countries, like I've said, working together to bring betterment in ending world poverty and bringing resources to help aid in different UN goals of development, like basic human rights. So in order to end poverty, we need basic human rights. We need to bring in different aspects in order to reduce poverty and eliminate it by 2030. So right now, the United Nations Development Program is number one working on it. The World Bank is giving some funds in order to create this. The UN's Children's Fund, International Monetary Fund, which is the IMF, the UN Global Impact, UNESCO, UN International Strategy for Disaster Reduction is also helping just to bring in better resources, especially with what's going on in the world right now with the coronavirus. These people in poverty are the ones that are going to be affected the most because they don't have access to healthcare like we do. And even with quarantine and everything, they're more subject to be vulnerable to these types of diseases. So right now, the works in progress, there's still foundations working together to bring a new perspective and challenge into a flourishing approach to have better development and incorporate resources in order to keep extreme poverty levels low and eventually eradicate. So right now, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundations have donated over $11 billion in grants around the world in order to bring better healthcare, global development, access to technology worldwide, and supporting transitions for better policy that is pro-poor. The microcredit business is also a great work in progress because this is a new business in a field with many new actors around the world that offer microfinance loans from $50 to $10,000 in order to enable millions of poor people launching and expand small business ideas from opening up restaurants, craft shops, and market stands. It might not be a lot, but for them, it can be the head start that they need in order to progress and get out of poverty, which this brings validating financial mechanisms to ease suffering of the poor. And in summary, there are plenty of different goals that will help eradicate extreme poverty around the world. In order to bring betterment lives around the world, to have basic human needs met, women must have access to healthcare with knowledge, and everyone deserves a basic education in order to have the tools for a decent living. Economic growth can come with a betterment of poverty lines, but it takes time in order to achieve total eradication. Hello, my name is
the Launchpad. Go to File, New Screen Recording. Open the drop-down menu and select the microphone you want to record with. Press Record. Click on the screen to start the recording or drag to make a selection. When done, press the record button on the menu bar to